Unbelievable twist, poor girl goes on blind date. Single dad CEO discovered the hidden truth. Emma stared out through the cracked window of starlit diner, watching life go by while trapped in her own static existence. At 25, she felt tethered to an unremarkable life, one that revolved around serving coffee and pie to the same familiar faces day in and day out. Any ambitions she harbored slipped further away with each passing hour as she juggled her grandmother's escalating health issues and her own unrealized dreams. When her friends suggested a blind date, the idea sounded ludicrous. Yet, their coaxing words, a mix of teasing and encouragement, gnawed at her. Maybe stepping out of her comfort zone might lead to something more, something real. As she prepared for the date, nerves twisted in her stomach. Donning her best diner uniform, she hesitated, feeling ridiculous. Could she even compete with whatever world lay outside her booth at Starlit? Doubts swirled like storm clouds above her head. But the thought of remaining stagnant filled her with despair. Against her better judgment, she took the plunge. The bistro glimmered with low lights and laughter when she met Nathan. He immediately radiated warmth despite the polished exterior of a CEO. Conversation flowed, much like the coffee she poured daily. The instant connection felt almost surreal, two souls crossing paths, sharing tales of their childhood dreams. Yet as Emma smiled and offered glimpses into her world, she caught an undertow of distress beneath Nathan's charm. They were both fighting battles, and for a moment the weight of their lives was lifted in shared laughter. However, Emma sensed a tension creeping in. Nathan seemed taken with her, but every charm-filled word felt laden with unspoken issues lurking in the shadows. He confided his struggles, his tech company teetering on the brink, his desperation cloaked under a veneer of confidence. Beneath his magnetic facade, she realized he, too, was afraid of failure. The facade of success he wore bore the marks of vulnerability and loss. As hours passed, a slip of conversation led Emma to inadvertently reveal her hidden talent for coding. For a second, his eyes widened, seeing her in a new light. Here was a waitress who spun stories of late-night programming and problem-solving, a world she kept tucked away while shouldering her commitments. Could it be that he saw her not just as a pie-slinging waitress but as a potential savior for his faltering enterprise? Self-doubt flooded back in vivid waves. Did he now look at her with pity rather than admiration? Nathan seemed to be wrestling with his own notions of success as he leaned in. Would he dare to challenge the outlook cultivated in corporate boardrooms, one that seldom embraced people like her? Emma's heart raced, caught in her own swirling fears. She was tired of being underestimated, tired of fear shackling her talents. Yet what did it mean for someone like her to step into his corporate world? As uncharted territory loomed before her, an internal tempest raged. She lingered at a precipice as Nathan hesitated, the magnetic pull between them growing heavier. Just as the night began to unravel the threads of possibility, his phone buzzed, shattering the moment. A notification flashed that could seal the fate of all he had built. Emma felt the fabric of their connection strain as uncertainty rippled through the air. Her mind frantically raced, weighing risks against the allure of a bold future. Would she dive into the unknown or retreat back into the safety of her diner? The echoes of their individual dilemmas fused into a swirling vortex of anxiety, where neither could escape the gravity of their intertwined fates. The waiter approached their table, interrupting the tension that had settled like a heavy fog. He cleared his throat, delivering the dessert menu with a friendly smile that felt misplaced against the backdrop of Emma's anxiety. It was a welcome distraction, yet the strain of the moment persisted, hovering between her and Nathan as he glanced down at his phone. Emma's heart sank. She could see the glow from the screen illuminating his expression, a shift from warmth to uncertainty. This wasn't just a conflict in his life, it was spiraling into something that could crush the delicate understanding they had begun to form. She felt like a ghost of her former self, a mere waitress fading into the shadows of his busy world. "Sorry," he muttered, seemingly lost in the digital realm displayed before him. "I have to take this." He stood, his chair scraping against the floor with a harsh sound that felt like a closing door between them. Emma was left sitting at the table, heart pounding in her ears, grappling with the fragments of an earlier connection that felt tantalizingly out of reach. A mix of disappointment and a newfound determination surged within her. In the quiet of his absence, instead of spiraling into her doubts, Emma reflected on their conversation. She had shared her passion for coding, her late nights spent working on projects that felt less like work and more like an awakening. What if that self, the ambitious coder stripped away by the demand of daily life, could find a way to step back into the light? The seed of possibility flickered in her mind, providing a morsel of hope amid rising frustrations. As Nathan returned to the table, the buoyant energy he once radiated felt dimmed. A heavy sigh escaped his lips, and she could see the worry etched on his face. Without thinking, she reached out across the table, her hand brushing against his. "Are you okay?" The inquiry sounded more profound than intended, a genuine concern for the man before her. His gaze flickered to their hands, surprise dancing in his hazel eyes before he withdrew a fraction. "It's just, work. I can't afford to lose focus." Emma nodded, feeling a surge of resolve. If he couldn't allow himself the luxury of weakness, maybe she shouldn't either. She couldn't let his burdens dim her latent capabilities. "What if we work together?" The words shocked her as they left her lips, but an undeniable conviction fueled her. "I mean, I can help with your project. With my coding skills, I can contribute." An incredulous look passed over Nathan's features. "You, a waitress, want to help a CEO? You're serious?" "Yes," she retorted, a wave of determination sweeping away her hesitation. "I've done substantial projects before, but I pushed them aside. I think you need a fresh perspective." As she spoke, her voice grew steadier. Dangerously exhilarating notions stirred within her. Perhaps she could carve a niche beyond the diner, apply the skills she had painstakingly honed in silence. His eyes softened, searching hers for a sign of her sincerity. "Emma, you don't know what you're asking. The stakes are high. It's not easy." "Nothing worthwhile ever is," she replied, wrestling with her fears head-on. "What do you have to lose?" Silence draped over them, the air thick with unspilled possibilities. Was it madness that propelled her forward, or an awakening of something greater within her? She couldn't help but wonder if she could reshape her narrative, redefine her path from a waitress to a partner in a venture that flickered with hope. Their gazes locked, the walls between their worlds trembling and quaking. Just as Nathan turned to speak, another notification chimed from his phone, slicing through the moment again like a knife. Determination battled against doubt within her. "Emma," he said slowly, "the time has come to face some tough choices. We both have a lot on our plates." The weight of his words anchored her. She felt the surge of uncertainty mix with exhilarating possibilities as she danced on the edge of transformation. This was not just about helping him. It had morphed into a fight for her own ambitions, her drive for validation clawing to the surface. But was she ready to take that leap? Did she possess the courage to step into a world where she could no longer hide behind familiarity? Emma drew in a deep, steadying breath, where resolution and fear coalesced as heavy companions. What would she truly sacrifice to unlock her own potential? In that heartbeat, she withdrew her hand and squared her shoulders, letting anticipation mingle with apprehension. It was a life-shifting decision looming on the horizon of both their futures. "Are you willing to try?" Nathan's puzzled expression hung in the air. Theirs was a moment charged with unconfirmed potential. What awaited them both lingered, unspoken, as choices began to unfold. The hum of the diner faded into the background as Emma's mind raced through the possibilities that lay before her. She had been standing at the edge of a precipice, contemplating the move from her everyday reality into uncharted territory. Her heart drummed a nervous rhythm against her chest, each beat urging her to act rather than retreat into the familiar comfort of her old life. Nathan's expression remained ambivalent, suspended between skepticism and intrigue. Emma could see the flicker of a question in his eyes. Would she just be another distraction he couldn't afford? The choice ahead of her felt monumental, a decision that demanded clarity. She needed to steel herself, not just for the conversation but for what came after. If she decided to step into his world, the dimensions of her own would inevitably reshape. "Look, if you're hesitant," she began, feeling the weight of uncertainty tethering her. I know this seems sudden, but I've spent years burying my passion. I feel like it's time to stop being just a waitress. If this can be my way back, it's worth trying, isn't it? There was something liberating in those words, the realization that she didn't have to shrink beneath the responsibilities she silently accepted. This was her moment, a glimpse at the person she wanted to become rather than the role she had settled for. Nathan leaned in slightly. Emma, working in tech isn't just about skills. It requires a certain mindset, commitment, vision. Are you ready to embrace all that? It won't be the safe path you've always walked. The challenge ignited a fire within her. I know, she replied resolutely. But I know how to adapt. I've learned to code when my shifts ended, spending sleepless nights instead of dreaming about a life that could be. I'm ready to put that energy into something tangible, something that means more than just making ends meet. Nathan's contemplative look was met with a flicker of hope that surged within Emma. The fate of her idle ambitions was now tied to this man's project, her potential hinging upon the opportunity that lay just beyond reach. Suddenly it felt less like an extraordinary leap into the dark, and more like a calculated step toward the light. The exchange hung in the air, tension rich with unspoken promise. As the waiter returned to clear the dessert plates, Emma barely registered the movements around her, her focus locked onto Nathan. Let's talk about how this could work, she urged, her anxiousness giving way to genuine excitement. His lips curled into a tentative smile. You want to work with me, not just for me? Exactly. I'm not just looking to lend a hand. I want to be part of the process. I'd bring fresh ideas, diverse insights, even. A different set of eyes could give us an edge you didn't even know you needed. A flicker of appreciation sparked in Nathan's eyes. In their midst, a connection beyond the surface formed, a partnership that felt potential-filled, yet riddled with uncertainty. All right, he conceded, leaning back, deep in thought. Let's explore this further. It won't be easy. I won't sugarcoat it, there will be hardships. But if you're serious, then let's outline clear next steps. Transparency is key here. Emma nodded, determination and anticipation flooding her senses. The journey would not be easy, and doubt would loom like a shadow over their plans. But for the first time, she felt as though she had agency over her future. The air shifted as they began discussing potential projects, her enthusiasm spilling out in waves. Ideas collided, bouncing back and forth, transforming the restaurant table into a brainstorming hub. As details began to take shape, Emma felt the pulse of ambition stir awake. It coursed through her veins with exhilaration, but just as the conversation started flowing, the reality of their respective lives began to weave back into the fabric of their discourse. Past obligations loomed over their discussion, a reminder that nothing would be straightforward. Each moment of connection felt threatened by the unpredictability of their separate worlds. A thought struck Emma, a possibility that felt both thrilling and daunting. What if we face external pressures, doubts from others? Will we let them dictate our path? Nathan's response was measured but firm. That's where resilience comes into play. It'll be our guiding principle. We must stay focused, believe in the work we're doing together. As distracted thoughts of doubt flickered in the background, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this venture could be a transformative journey for her. Would her commitment to this partnership empower her to roar out from the shadows of her previous self? The thought glimmered tantalizingly as they struck their first pact, forging an alliance built on shared vision and intertwined ambitions. This was no longer merely about Nathan or his project, it had morphed into an exploration of Emma's own resolve and potential. Before parting ways that evening, Emma's heart felt fuller, and her spirit lit with possibility. Yet, lurking just behind that glow was the nagging familiarity of her past insecurities. Could she dismantle the barriers she had constructed around herself, and would Nathan's world truly welcome her? As the weight of the evening settled, she felt the echo of her earlier thoughts rise once more. What would she have to confront from within to ensure her own success? The night felt heavy with unanswered questions, and Emma recognized that the journey ahead would demand more than just skill. It would require a confrontation with the very fears she had hidden for far too long. How would she navigate the challenges spiraling forth? With tension building and the unknown stretching out before her, Emma steeled herself for the wrestling match of ambition that was only beginning to unfold. What awaited her was less about partnership and more about personal bravery. The true test was just around the corner. The next morning dawned with a brightness that felt almost foreign to Emma. As the sun spilled through her apartment window, illuminating the clutter around her, a surge of determination coursed through her veins. She sat on the edge of her bed, replaying the events of the previous night. The dialogue with Nathan echoed in her mind like a mantra, an invitation to step forward, to embrace not merely the role of a coder or helper, but that of a vital collaborator. Yet, beneath the surface of that burgeoning excitement, doubt lay in wait. What if Nathan realized he had misjudged her capability? What if she stumbled in her commitment or faltered under the weight of new expectations? Emma felt a twisting unease in her stomach, but she forced herself to breathe through it. She picked up her laptop and opened the lid, the cool metal cold against her fingertips, a stark reminder of the task ahead. As she navigated to her coding platforms and began to draft concepts for their potential projects, the screen glowed with possibilities. The rush of idea generation filled the room, momentarily pushing aside her fears. She challenged herself to think creatively, from app development to dynamic websites. There was a world beyond her current reality that waited for her to explore, and she was determined to dive into it headfirst. When the clock struck noon, Emma ventured out for a brisk walk. The streets buzzed with life, the hum of the city echoing her own restless ambition. Each step was a mental rehearsal. I am not just a waitress. I am a partner in development. I am capable. Self-affirmation seemed almost ludicrous, yet she needed that reminder, a guard against the creeping insecurity that always threatened to consume her when she ventured into unfamiliar territory. Upon returning home, she settled into a routine of meticulous planning. She sketched out layouts, defined features, and labeled aspects she felt confident discussing with Nathan. Each note served as evidence of her growing commitment, analogous to bricks being stacked to form a foundation beneath her aspirations. Emma relished the clarity of purpose that now enveloped her, but shadows of doubt still lurked, whispering that her past hesitations were impatient ghosts, waiting to manifest. That evening, Emma met with Nathan at a local cafe they had mutually designated as their brainstorming meeting place. The atmosphere was alive with creativity, artists working on their canvases and writers tapping furiously on laptops. This environment thrummed with real potential, and for the first time, Emma felt in sync with the pulse around her. Nathan was already there, perusing her initial ideas with an analytical eye. Emma approached the table, heart racing, the weight of her offerings both exhilarating and daunting. I've made some sketches of potential ideas, she stated, steeling herself against the vulnerability of sharing her thought processes. Nathan looked up, his interest piqued. Let us see what you've got. As Emma unveiled her proposals, she noticed the flicker of surprise and genuine intrigue on Nathan's face. He began asking deeper questions, exploring not just what she had created, but inviting her to articulate her reasoning and thought processes. This wasn't merely a transaction, it became a dialogue and interplay where her voice was not just heard but sought after. The discussions melted the steel barriers she had encased herself in, each exchange bolstering her confidence. But as conversation flowed, Emma noticed Nathan's reaction start to shift. A shadow fell over his expression as he leaned back in his chair, a brief flicker of hesitation clouding his features. Emma, he began cautiously, I need you to understand something. While your ideas are innovative, the tech world has its own harsh realities. Are you prepared for criticism? For setbacks that seem insurmountable? Her resolve flickered, throat tightening. The stakes were higher than she imagined, yet vulnerability sparked a new intense flame within her. Yes. I'm ready. I need this opportunity to confront the fears I've hidden for too long. The weight of his words bore down on her as the truth crystallized. The journey they were about to embark on wouldn't just redefine her professional identity but would demand a thorough dismantling of her internal barriers. Just then, Nathan's phone buzzed, snapping him from their conversation. He glanced at it, and a look of concern crossed his face. Emma understood external distractions could jeopardize the focus needed to nurture their burgeoning partnership. What's wrong? she asked, sensing the shift in his demeanor. Nathan hesitated, visibly wrestling with something. It's personal, he finally responded, his voice tinged with layers of uncertainty. The abruptness of his reply lingered in the air, amplifying tensions that had barely begun to unravel. What personal turmoil could threaten the delicate balance they had just begun to establish? As he stared into space, Emma felt the unease settle into the pit of her stomach. Was this distraction an early sign of trouble? The tension clung to the moment like static before a storm. Whatever obstacles lay ahead within themselves and their partnership, Emma knew she had just entered a battleground of ambition, vulnerability, and entwined destinies. What lay ahead was a more profound challenge about resilience and possibility, and she couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of transformation. How would they face what was to come? The tension that hung in the air between Emma and Nathan felt electric, a palpable reminder of uncertainties that danced around their budding collaboration. Emma sensed that the quiet tinges of Nathan's inner struggle might only amplify the hurdles ahead. She leaned in, intent on unraveling this moment. Is there something you need to address? She asked softly, her voice cut through the noise of the cafe, turning more than a few heads. Nathan hesitated, eyes still glued to the phone, as if it were a lifeline in the sea of doubts enveloping him. It's just family matters. His tone shifted, the weight of his responsibilities pressing down as if the world bore the brunt of his shoulders. Emma's gut twisted. Family concerns could lead to distraction or worse, lack of commitment. She yearned for reassurance, yet there was also a spark of empathy igniting within her. I understand, she said, trying to deflect the focus away from his turmoil. We all have our battles, but this project could help us break through those barriers, don't you think? Nathan's gaze softened, and she felt a moment of hope. You're right. Our paths are intertwined now, it's about being transparent with each other. But I need to ask, do you really want this? Because it goes beyond just designing apps. It's a journey through discomfort and critique, you'll need to be adaptable. Despite her bubbling anxiety, Emma felt an undeniable strength surge within her. Yes, she had been waiting for an opportunity like this, but now it felt almost too daunting to face. I want this, she asserted, internalizing his challenge. Not just for the project, but for me to prove I can weather the storm. Her declaration stung like an unexpected blow and simultaneously ignited something more resonant. Nathan's eyebrow lifted, assessing her sincerity. Perhaps he needed to hear that from her. At that moment, she wasn't just a fledgling coder, she was reclaiming her agency. The conversation swirled into deeper realms where they dissected her ideas, and Emma found herself speaking with a passion that surprised even her. There was something invigorating about verbalizing her thoughts, breathing life into the sketches she had created. Nathan posed critical questions, and with each inquiry, she learned to navigate her thoughts more deftly, like a sailor honing their skills against the tides. As the initial doubts began to dissolve, her focus sharpened. She dove into app functionalities and user interaction flows, aware now that this was more than just technicalities, it was about creating experiences, connecting with people on a deeper level. Emma felt like a warrior preparing for battle. However, a nagging question lingered: what if Nathan's family issues distracted him? And what about her own unresolved fears? Would they bloom into obstacles before she could even take a step forward? As she packed her materials to leave, he caught her gaze with an intensity that hadn't been there before. You've got something valuable, Emma. Don't let anyone or any circumstance dim your fire. We'll face challenges, but I believe you'll manage. His words resonated within her as she stepped out of the cafe, heart racing with exhilaration and trepidation. This could turn into an adrenaline-fueled pursuit, a dance with the unknown that was both thrilling and terrifying. She paused on the sidewalk, the city alive around her, a sea of movement. Emma understood she stood at a precipice. Behind her lay comfort, but ahead loomed potential. If only she could tap deeper into her capabilities, could she navigate the murky waters ahead. But then her phone buzzed violently, jolting her. A message blinked on the screen, a reminder from the scheduling app she hadn't tackled that week. Too many obligations. Too much chaos, she whispered. Could she maintain her newfound focus amidst her commitments? Emma took a deep breath, knowing the time had come to confront her daily distractions and forge a clearer path. The real test would come when Nathan's challenges collided with her own, requiring both of them to step up. What would happen when their worlds intertwined in ways neither anticipated? The urgency to act began to pulse through her, preparing her for the inevitable clash between aspiration and reality. Would she rise to the occasion, or would her fledgling confidence falter in the face of adversity? The next morning, Emma woke with a whirlwind of thoughts swirling in her mind. The day beckoned with the promise of new possibilities, but her spirit throbbed with the pressure of her responsibilities. As she glanced at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, she couldn't shake off the lingering uncertainty. What if she failed? What if Nathan's family issues were a burden too heavy for their partnership? Gathering her things, she made her way to the co-working space she'd reserved for the day. Each step felt heavier, a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. Walking in, she took a second to survey the bustling atmosphere, the hum of creativity igniting her passion once more. The space was filled with individuals immersed in their projects, and for a flickering moment, she felt the rhythm of inspiration beat in sync with her heart. Emma plopped down at her desk and opened her laptop. A blank screen stared back at her, amplifying her trepidation. Was she ready to confront the complexities of app design while navigating personal growth? The chatter in the room brought about both comfort and distraction. She scrolled through her notes from her previous discussion with Nathan. Each line was etched with potential, a map of the unexplored territories she needed to navigate. With a deep breath, she began drafting an outline of their app's core functionality. The process was exhilarating, and she lost herself in the intricacies of user experience. Yet, doubt crept in like a shadow, whispering questions that gnawed at her resolve. What if her vision wasn't strong enough? What if Nathan's expertise overshadowed her contributions? As the afternoon wore on, she received a message from Nathan, asking to meet for a quick check-in. The flutter of anxiety returned, but it spurred her into action. She quickly compiled her notes, determined to present her ideas with confidence. When Nathan arrived, the energy shifted. He seemed more composed than before, though the exhaustion in his eyes was evident. "Thanks for meeting, Emma. I've been thinking about our project." His voice was steady, yet Emma sensed an undercurrent of tension. "Me too," she replied, her heart racing as she laid out her ideas about the app's flow. As she spoke, she noticed Nathan's expression morph from skepticism to intrigue. "This is solid work, Emma," he admitted, a slight smile breaking through the seriousness that engulfed him. "You've thought through a lot of this. I can see where this is heading." Encouraged, Emma felt her confidence swell, each word she shared layering on new strength. But as the conversation veered towards potential user testing, her nerves returned. What if they don't resonate with it? What if, Emma, you need to stop allowing the what-ifs to control your perspective? Feedback is part of the journey. Think of it as information that will help you grow, Nathan urged, a note of firmness threading through his tone. His insight struck her deeply. This was not just about her capacity to succeed, it was about embracing every experience as a lesson. "You're right," she conceded, suddenly aware that every critique wasn't a reflection of her worth, but rather an opportunity for refinement. Their discussion transformed into a dynamic brainstorming session, both breathing life into ideas with renewed enthusiasm. Nathan's suggestions complemented her visions, and she relished being a part of a dialogue that held promise. However, shadows of doubt began creeping back with the thought of their personal lives colliding with their professional ambitions. How could they balance their passion with the realities weighing down on them? Emma felt a flicker of fear arise. What if their collaboration became tainted by outside influences? The conversation naturally drifted to Nathan's family issues, and she prodded gently. "Is everything okay?" He paused, the tension visibly tightening his features. "It's complicated. I thought I'd manage it," but Emma felt a flicker of understanding. "We'll navigate this together," she promised. Despite the hurdles, something about their synergy felt triumphant, as if they were crafting not just an app, but a new narrative for themselves. As they wrapped up, each left with a sense of direction and clarity. Emma felt invigorated by the collaborative spirit they fostered. Yet, uncertainty lingered. Could this newfound confidence withstand an imminent storm? With her notebook in hand, Emma stepped out into the evening light, feeling the cool air wash over her. Would the realities of their personal lives become an entangled web, complicating the delicate thread of their partnership? Her heart raced with anticipation and dread. The moment of truth loomed near. What would it demand of her? As she walked away, a text from Nathan pinged. By the way, can we add a meeting for Friday? I need to share something important. Was this simply about the project, or was it a prelude to something more personal? Emma's heart raced as questions swirled like leaves in the autumn wind, beckoning her to confront the unknown. Emma spent the following days wrapped in a cocoon of determination and uncertainty. The anticipation of Friday's meeting loomed like fog on the horizon, thick and disorienting. Each time she opened her laptop, the blank screen became a reflection of her stifled creativity, her mind spiraling into questions that complicated her clarity. Was Nathan's message a stepping stone toward a deeper connection, or an ominous sign of trouble ahead? Determined not to let doubt dictate her productivity, she dove deeper into their project. She researched and sketched, fueled by a blend of caffeine and resolve, absorbing user feedback and emerging trends in app design. Yet, in the midst of her fervent work, her thoughts often flickered back to Nathan. The complexities of their partnership grew heavier, her heart gravitating towards the uncertainty introduced by his personal storms. On Thursday evening, Emma felt an insistent tug to prepare for the meeting. She rehearsed her presentation several times, envisioning every possible angle, every response he might give. She embraced the challenge, wanting to prove not only to Nathan but also to herself that she could lead this venture. The strength of their collaboration hung in the balance, and with it, her own burgeoning self-worth. The moment arrived, she walked into their co-working space with newfound poise. The rhythm of the bustling environment imbued her with energy, each clatter and buzz aligning with her pounding heartbeat. She found Nathan sitting at their usual table, his brow furrowed but his smile welcoming. Yet the slight shadow settling over his demeanor unnerved her. "Hey, Nathan," Emma greeted, keeping her voice steady. "Thanks for coming." He gestured for her to sit, the seriousness of his tone sending shivers of unease up her spine. "I've been refining our pitch," Emma said, trying to inject lightness as she pulled out her notes. "Ready to make this app shine?" "Absolutely," he replied, though his gaze seemed to drift somewhere beyond their conversation. Swallowing her nerves, she launched into her presentation, articulating every detail about their app design, each feature, every intention woven into her vision. As the discussion unfolded, she noticed that Nathan's engagement fluctuated, a knee-jerk reaction when something reminded him of his family pressures. Yet, she pressed on, hoping to anchor him in the forward momentum they sought. "Your ideas are impressive, Emma," Nathan finally said, a note of admiration breaking through the tension. "But there is something I need to address." Panic surged through her. Had she missed something critical? "What is it?" He hesitated, the weight of his thoughts crystallizing in the air between them. "It's about my family. I've been avoiding this conversation. It's affecting my focus on the project, and maybe even us." The moment felt heavy, charged with emotional weight. Emma's heart raced, not from fear, but a strange mixture of compassion and concern. As he spoke, she sensed the conflict brewing beneath his calm exterior, an urgent struggle she had unwittingly touched upon. "Let us tackle this together," she offered, the words spilling from her lips before she could assess their impact. "You need to be honest about where you stand." Nathan nodded slowly, frustration flickering in his eyes. "I don't want to drag you into this. I thought I could handle it. That it wouldn't affect our work. But we're a team," Emma insisted, her voice steady. "Your challenges are part of our journey too." The conversation soon transitioned into a cathartic exchange. Nathan shared his struggles balancing work demands and looming family expectations that threatened to drown him. With each detail, Emma saw the cracks in his facade widen, yet along with that vulnerability, she felt a powerful connection forging between them. As they wrapped up, Emma realized this moment wasn't just about professional growth but about a budding partnership that transcended their app. They were navigating personal storms together, each revealing pieces of themselves that had lain hidden beneath layers of responsibility and pretense, but as they left the meeting, an unsettling thought gripped Emma. Was she capable of weathering this emotional upheaval alongside Nathan? How would their relationship evolve in light of such personal revelations? The stakes had risen, and the future felt uncharted. Before they parted, Nathan turned to her, the unspoken tension between them palpable. Can we make this a regular thing? A partnership means we need to keep supporting each other, no matter the storms. Emma nodded, yet inside, she wrestled with rising uncertainty about whether this collaboration would be transformative or tumultuous. The complexity of their connection left her both exhilarated and terrified. As she walked home, her thoughts raced. She could feel the undercurrents shifting beneath the surface. Could their partnership navigate the turbulent waters ahead? Would their aspirations clash with the realities they both faced? Emma felt the weight of the unknown coil within her. And just as she reached her apartment, another text from Nathan pinged. About today, I think we need to discuss how we can take this to the next level. Her heart thumped wildly as she contemplated what that might entail. Would their partnership evolve into something more profound, something that threatened to breach the boundaries they had carefully established? Emma woke the next morning to a swirl of emotions that felt like a tempest brewing inside her. Nathan's text lingered in her mind, repeating like a mantra, "How can we take this to the next level?" The words promised change, but with change came uncertainty and unsettling thrill that made her stomach twist. She brewed her morning coffee with slow deliberation, the rhythmic sound of the water dripping guiding her fragmented thoughts. The kitchen, usually a place of solace, now felt charged with possibilities and conflict. What did this next level entail? Was it more about their app, or were the lines blurring into something personal? As the caffeine worked its magic, she quickly jotted down ideas for their discussion, but with each stroke of the pen, growing anxiety mirrored her handwriting, twisting into loops and jagged lines. The day dragged on, each hour infused with anticipation. When her phone chirped with another notification, she leaped to grab it, heart racing. It was a text from Nathan. "How about we meet at the cafe later? I want to map this out." The hour arrived, and apprehension pulsed as she walked toward the cafe, every footstep heavy with the weight of expectation. The corner booth where they often sat beckoned, but the familiar comfort was replaced by a sense of impending revelation. As she entered, she spotted Nathan already seated, but this time he looked more poised, as if he were preparing for a significant battle. He caught her eye, and she noted the strange mix of eagerness and restraint that played across his features. The man who had appeared broken just days ago now exuded an intensity that both intrigued and frightened her. "Hey, Emma," he greeted, a warmth in his smile that soothed some of her rising tension. "Thanks for coming on such short notice." "Of course. I was looking forward to it," she replied, injecting enthusiasm into her voice while her heart drummed against her ribcage, each beat a reminder of the stakes involved. "Let's dive right in," Nathan began, his seriousness returning. "I've been thinking a lot about our project, about partnership, what it really means. I think we need to build something more than just a great app. We need to become a brand that people can trust." Emma felt a swell of excitement. This was what she had envisioned their app as, not just a product, but a movement. Absolutely. We could leverage social media campaigns to drive engagement and foster community. That would set us apart. Yet as the conversation progressed, the shift in focus toward their app revealed another layer of complexity. Nathan's enthusiasm seemed tethered to the emotional weight he'd shared days before. "But part of me wonders if we can handle the pressure of transforming it into something greater without losing ourselves. I need to know you're all in," he said, the intensity in his voice revealing a glimpse of vulnerability. "Are we talking just about the app?" Or Emma hesitated, her voice trailing off as the unspoken strands of their connection hung in the air. She wondered if they were poised on the edge of some irreversible decision, one that could shatter the professional boundaries they had so carefully constructed. "Both," he replied, his gaze penetrating. "I need support from my partner, not just in business, but I also need someone who can help me carry the weight of these personal struggles. The conversation shifted to their respective ambitions, but each time they circled back to the concept of partnership, a growing realization came forth: working together meant sharing burdens, and her heart raced at the idea that Nathan was inviting her to share much more than just a workspace. Still, layers of self-doubt lingered as they brainstormed strategies and visions. Emma could sense the tides turning. There was something uncharted about where they were headed. As she leaned in, eager to articulate bold ideas, she realized that the risks extended beyond the professional realm. This partnership could change everything: her ambitions, her personal life, and the fragile bond they were cultivating. Emma, Nathan interrupted her thoughts, his gaze steady. What if this means facing things we've tried to keep at a distance? What if we have to challenge each other in ways we're not ready for? His question echoed through her mind, amplifying her doubts. Could she confront her fears head-on while supporting him in his struggles? Was she prepared to face those realities together, knowing they carried the potential for transformation but also the risks of everything falling apart? As the cafe noise swirled around them, Emma felt the heavy weight of the unknown settle on her, both exhilarating and terrifying. How could they reinforce each other's strengths while navigating the complexities of their personal battles? As they wrapped up their meeting, the future hung precariously in equilibrium. She realized that while she was prepared to forge ahead in their professional journey, the emotional entanglements woven into their partnership could easily lead to both triumph and turmoil. Before leaving, Nathan looked into her eyes and asked, "Are you ready for this? Because I don't want to hold anything back anymore." The challenge was clear, and Emma felt a ripple of hesitation. She had to decide: would she leap into this unknown together or hold back, leaving her ambitions and her heart at the precipice? The moment felt electric as Emma took a deep breath, aware that the next choice she made could define not only their project but their entire trajectory as partners, personally and professionally. Would she trust him not just as a colleague but as someone capable of sharing the weight of their intertwined futures? As the door swung shut behind her, Emma knew she stood at a pivotal crossroads, one where the answer to Nathan's question would reverberate long after they parted ways. Emma spent the night wrestling with Nathan's words. Their implications twisted around her thoughts like a vine, squeezing her resolve. The stakes had shifted, and what was once a clear career path now felt tangled in complexities she had never anticipated. Breakfast passed in a blur as the weight of their conversation gnawed at her. Waving off her usual morning rituals, she dove straight into research, trying to gather data on successful tech branding and partnership dynamics. What had started as a curious exploration quickly morphed into a frenzy of information, ideas and statistics bubbling like a pot set to boil over. Her laptop screen glowed with possibilities, but the anxiety lingered like an unexpected chill. As hours stretched into the early afternoon, Emma paused, her fingers resting on the keyboard. The silence around her felt oppressive. How had she allowed her ambition to intertwine so closely with her emotions? This wasn't just about the app anymore. It was about her integrity, her ability to remain focused while entangled with Nathan's struggles. She stood up abruptly, pacing the room as she processed her thoughts. The question loomed large: could she be both professionally ambitious and personally vulnerable? No longer were they simply partners in technology, they were sharing dreams, fears, and perhaps something deeper. The realization sent a shudder through her. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky a vibrant orange, Emma felt a surge of determination. Writing down her priorities, she formulated a plan, a structured approach balancing both their ambitions and emotions. They had to address their personal histories constructively. After all, their mutual support would define their success or failure. That evening, she called Nathan and proposed they meet again, a catch-up over dinner this time, where they could speak candidly outside the cafe setting. She could feel the excitement creeping back into her, threading through her tension. The response was immediate. Nathan's voice was lively, laced with enthusiasm as he accepted the invite, and Emma knew this was a chance to lay bare her intentions. Dinner arrived faster than she anticipated. The ambience of the restaurant was different from their usual spot, more sophisticated, more serious, a reflection of the path they were stepping onto. Emma inhaled deeply as she approached their table, feeling the shift in herself less apprehensive, more decisive. As they exchanged pleasantries, Emma noticed the way Nathan's expression shifted, brimming with potential as they discussed their visions. But it didn't take long before the tension resurfaced. "Emma, what we're attempting is rare," he said, brow furrowed. "I just need you to know the depth of my challenges. I've struggled to balance my work and personal life since my daughter came into the picture." Her heart sank a little, the openness raw and daunting. "You mean this extends beyond just the business?" she asked gently, examining his face for signs of discomfort. "Exactly," he replied, vulnerability etched in his features. "I want us to build something substantial, but I also need to protect what matters most to me, my family." And just like that, Emma felt her own fears surface. "Nathan, I've never run a business partnership like this before. I aim to pour my heart into our project, but it's terrifying to know that could impact personal lives too." As they began to discuss boundaries and expectations, Emma was surprised to find herself more assured with each passing moment. She articulated her vision not just for their app but also for their connection, how open dialogue could bridge their worlds. Yet, in that moment of shared vulnerability, the weight of unknown challenges hung between them like a heavy shroud. How would they manage their personal lives alongside their professional ambitions? Would Nathan's commitment to his daughter align with their responsibilities to the project? As they finished their meal and stood outside, Emma felt the night air wrap around them, thick with possibilities. "Let us commit to transparency moving forward," she suggested, feeling more certain than ever. "We can't afford to hold back." Nathan nodded, eyes glinting with appreciation but shadowed by worry. "I appreciate that, Emma. It's going to take every ounce of me to manage its complexities. What are we really getting into?" She wondered aloud, aware they were wrestling feelings that extended way beyond their work. The conversation had opened a door to questions neither was fully prepared to answer, questions about partnerships, about love and sacrifice, and the intricate dance of balancing personal and professional lives. As they stepped away from the restaurant, Emma realized she had teetered on the brink of growth, but the heights remained as intimidating as ever. Determined to face these challenges, Emma felt an inkling of burgeoning potential. Yet the disquiet loomed: what if they ventured too far into unexplored territories that could fracture their connection? As she walked home, the path ahead shimmered with both promise and uncertainty. Tomorrow would bring more questions, more dedication, and perhaps the moment they had to decide about crossing lines into deeper personal territories. Would she be ready for the revelations that awaited at the intersection of ambition and partnership? The sun streamed through Emma's window the next morning, illuminating her newfound resolve. As she stared into the reflection of her own eyes, she recognized that she had crossed a threshold. The choices she faced were no longer just about her, they entwined her journey firmly with Nathan's. With determination coursing through her, Emma had realized that this partnership wasn't merely a professional endeavor, it was a crucible for personal transformation. Arriving at their co-working space that day, she felt a renewed sense of agency. With each step, she envisioned the impact of their app, a project that could redefine not just their careers but their very identities. As she sat down at her desk, a fresh coffee in hand, she welcomed the familiar anxiety but also embraced the energy that came from daring to be vulnerable. When Nathan entered, the tension in the air shifted instantly. His gaze met hers, an acknowledgement of their shared ambition and the complexities they danced around. "Hey, Emma," he greeted her with enthusiasm, the remnants of concern dissipating as their collaboration took center stage. "Hey. I've been refining our app design based on user feedback. I think we're on the brink of something incredible," she replied, her voice steady with conviction. As they reviewed her layouts, the excitement between them ignited a spark. Emma effortlessly articulated her ideas, suddenly seeing herself as not just a contributor, but an integral part of this venture. Then, threading through their discussions came Nathan's previous struggles. "I've been giving some thought to how my family influences my time," he admitted, his tone tinged with the seriousness of the topic. "Balancing everything has been tough." Emma nodded, recognizing the fragility of their dynamic. "I get it. But we can't let that fracture what we're building here. Let us set clear boundaries for our work-life balance, she suggested, feeling a surge of clarity. The elements of her personal ambitions and Nathan's familial commitments melded into a delicate negotiation of time and energy. You're right, Nathan replied, taking her insight earnestly. Transparency isn't just a business principle anymore, it's what will ultimately hold us together. With tangible goals set before them, they outlined their commitments, ensuring that neither their professional ambitions nor personal lives would spiral into chaos. Emma felt a rush of pride, a sense of competency settled in. They were building a foundation of mutual respect and understanding, one she had longed to create. Weeks rolled on, the time blended with momentum as their project began to take shape. Emma's confidence flourished, their app expanded into a concept that embraced community and connectivity, distinguishing itself in the tech world. Each coding session felt less like a chore and more like the manifestation of her years spent nurturing her craft. Acknowledgement came swiftly. At a local tech showcase, they presented their idea, and to their astonishment, it caught the attention of industry leaders. Your application has the potential to change how we approach technology, one investor remarked, his eyes sparkling with ambition. Emma's heart soared. They were not just aspiring coders or hopeful entrepreneurs, they were becoming renowned innovators in their field. Looking over at Nathan, she saw his pride mirrored in her eyes. They stood together against the backdrop of their future, two individuals intertwined but distinctly empowered. Nathan's journey through familial challenges and her emergence from the shadows of waitressdom coalesced into a shared triumph. It was at that moment, standing strong in the light of their accomplished project and emerging recognition, that Emma realized she had not only rewritten her story but had written it alongside someone equally determined. She was no longer just a waitress, she was a co-creator of an innovation that had the potential to ripple beyond their respective lives. The final piece came a few days later when Nathan turned to her with sincerity. I can't imagine this journey without you, Emma. Your skills and vision have changed everything for me and I believe for both of us. As those words resonated within her, Emma felt a deep satisfaction settle over her being. No longer did she view herself as a mere entity in Nathan's world, she had carved her own space, conquered fear, and emerged victorious. Together, they had transformed challenges into opportunities, setbacks into launching pads. With renewed clarity and solid confidence, Emma had achieved what she once thought impossible. She had stepped into a role that defined her future, cultivating both professional fulfillment and personal growth. The weight of her previous life lifted as she stood shoulder to shoulder with Nathan, armed with the knowledge that together they would navigate whatever came next. At IT was a moment of transformation, one that had swept through both their lives. Emma smiled, relishing the adventure that lay ahead. Now is your moment to connect with stories of transformation and triumph. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help these stories reach others who need inspiration. Comment below your reactions and theories about Emma and Nathan's journey. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion and ignite their own path of overcoming. You need to support the channel and show that you understand the importance of personal growth stories. Don't wait even one more second.